Hello fellow simmers, it's Samuel Beeman of BLS here, and we're back with another OpenRails video for a Saturday Night Live premiere. So, basically, this is the Nene Valley Railway for Microsoft Train Simulator, or well, what was. So, this add-on, I'm not going to lie to you guys, was probably one of the worst add-ons that I ever bought for Microsoft Train Simulator. It was just full of issues. It would sometimes not work on certain PCs, it would crash a lot. The detail on it was, I mean, the route itself is nice, but the locomotives and rolling stock are something to be desired. And yeah, it was just a very poor quality add-on, really, to be honest, and it wasn't realistically what I expected when I bought this thing. And I remember that it was I think it was around 25 quid at the time, which was quite pricey as well. And it had a preserved version of the Nene Valley Railway, which we're going to look at in this video, because obviously that's the main section that everyone wanted this add-on for. But it also had like a 1950s to 60s era route sort of merged in with it, which just did not work at all. And to be honest with you, they would have been better off making it a separate route, like what the developers of the Keighlin-Worth Valley Railway add-on did, where they had the preserved version and the 1950s to 60s era version of the route, instead of merging it into one which just does not work at all. So, we're going to be driving activity number 3, which is the Class 40 activity from Wansford to Peterborough, using D306 Atlantic Conveyor. And yeah, we're just going to have a little look around the route and obviously the sounds of the locomotive, and basically I'm just going to share my thoughts and opinions on the route and what I think of the overall add-on DLC, as it were. Obviously I've already shared quite a lot of my thoughts on this add-on in this sort of intro of the video, but I think I'll pick up on a few more bits as we go along. So without further ado, let's unpause our game and get down towards Peterborough. Okay, so we'll get our track monitor system up and we'll get our timetable up as well. So we've got 40 seconds until we depart. So this is Wansford Station, which, I mean, to be honest with you, Wansford Station is easily recognisable. Everyone who's been to the Nene Valley Railway would recognise this. And it's actually modelled pretty damn well. So one of the things I have also noticed is, yes, as I said at the beginning, this route tended to crash and not work properly in Microsoft Train Simulator. Well, it was a bit hit and miss. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. But it also doesn't work very well in OpenRails, because the Class 14s that come with this add-on don't actually work in OpenRails. It comes up with errors. So,
okay to proceed.
Even in this new version of MSTS, as it were, it doesn't actually run 100%. But, you know, is what it is. The track itself doesn't look too bad. It's quite good for its time. I mean, you've got the 3D sort of clips as well, which, you know, for its time, this track was absolutely fantastic. To say, the route itself is actually really well detailed for MSTS. Right, so let's get our headlights on. We need it on dim, because, yeah. Get into the cab. Yes, the cab is a bit meh. It's okay, I suppose. It's not too bad, but obviously it's photo textured MSTS, you know. So put ourselves into forward gear. Get our train brake released and get ourselves underway. So I have modified this Class 40 slightly, because something else that's a bit of a bug with OpenRails, well, when you install this add-on for OpenRails, it makes all the horns and whistles incredibly high pitched for some unknown reason. It never used to do this in MSTS, but for this, well, for the purpose of this video and keeping it original, I have actually modified the horn to lower the pitch to what it would have sounded like in MSTS instead of a overly high-pitched horn. So let's give it a try and listen to the horn. So yeah, so that's just a standard Class 40 horn. But you'll see that the horn lever is actually the AWS button in this cab for some reason. So yeah, good job on that, first class simulations. Right, yeah, so this add-on was built by First Class Simulations. So we'll get ourselves underway and depart Wansford for Peterborough. So yeah, so the sounds of the Class 40 are, to be honest, pretty terrible. You'll see as we get further down the line. We've got some water texture there, it's not too bad. But you can see the route itself does capture the Nene Valley Railway really well. So, you know, you can't knock the quality of the route for its time. It was actually pretty good. So obviously we're starting off with the Class 40 activity, then towards the end of the video we'll drive the Battle of Britain class steam engine scenario to end off the video. So we will do another two-parter like we did with the Brighton to Portsmouth video as we did previously. Right, let's give us some thrash, shall we? We're on the, you know, 25 mile an hour section, although for some reason it's showing up as 30, so that's inaccurate. But anyway, let's get to it. Whoa! Yes! Listen to that amazing sound. Yes. Isn't that fantastic? You know what? I can do the perfect impression of a Class 40 thrash. Here, look, listen to this. Because that's exactly how it sounds in real life. You know, that is the perfect representation. So yeah, basically the sounds are just not good for this. You could blow raspberries and recreate the thrash of this. Yeah, the Class 40 sound wise really not impressive with this add-on, to be honest. Oh dear. But the route, as I say, the route is very nice. The locomotives and rolling stock are, yeah, just really crap. A lot of the steam locos that come with this route as well have the standard basic Flying Scotsman sounds, which were, you know, just a default thing for back in the day of MSTS. And yeah, a lot of the locomotives and rolling stock, they didn't even put the effort in to make their own custom sound sets for, which let it down massively. But yeah, as I say, this was one of the worst add-ons I ever bought for Microsoft. And I think, you know, it's interesting to do a video on it because, you know, we're always going to get to that point. We're always going to get to that point where we look at old add-ons that were just not the best and were some of the worst for their time. Right, so yeah, I don't know why the limit is 30 because it should be 25 mile an hour, but I am going to do the limit for the route because otherwise we'll be incredibly late to stations. Obviously we are already late to Fairy Meadows because, as usual, MSTS doesn't give you any leeway to get to stations. You basically have to go at like super duper speeds to actually get on time. I think, to be honest with you, the timetable system within MSTS and OpenRails is kind of like scripted for like AI. So obviously the computer trains, I mean, they'll get there on time because the computer probably, you know, sets the throttle all the way up to full straight from the stand to get up to the specific speed that is scripted on the speed limits. But obviously for us, we drive realistically, so we put the throttle into the on position and just sort of work our way up in the speeds. And obviously the physics and simulation are different to the AI's physics and simulations. Another thing I did notice with this route as well is the sound effects are incredibly loud. The ambient sounds are a bit too loud, if I'm honest. They're nice sounds and they give it atmosphere, but they're a bit too loud. As you can hear, we've got weird animals making funny noises. So yeah, so the coach sounds, well, they don't have any track rumble or rail clatter because, well, in MSTS days you didn't really have coach clatter or rail joint sounds. Why this is, I don't know, but it just wasn't really a thing. But people never used to really care. Yeah, that animal sound is just, yeah, so loud. But yeah, the models of the coaches, they're okay, but again, very CGI. No photo texture, you know, sort of textures on it. I definitely would say that photo texturing was the way to go for MSTS for quality. But yeah, but unlike the Portsmouth, well, Brighton to Portsmouth route, this route actually is really good detail-wise. You've got the distant scenery, you know, it's not too bland. There's a lot to see. It's an enjoyable route to drive with the right rolling stock. I've just realised that duck sound is exactly the same duck sound that's been put into trains, you know, trains with a Z, because it's been used on our Ulster Heritage Railway route. Oh, so this is a 10-mile-an-hour speed restriction. I didn't see this coming up. I haven't route learned this route, guys, so. But I do remember a 10-mile-an-hour speed restriction over a bridge in real life on the Nene Valley, so it's good that they've actually added that in. Compressor going now. What I'll probably do with this 40 and a majority of the stock that comes with the Nene Valley Railway add-on is I might actually make a mod where it changes the sounds for better sounds. Make like a couple of sound packs or something for those who do own this add-on for OpenRails to have better sounds on the locos. Yeah, anyway, let's give it some thrash, shall we? Oh, yes. Listen to the scream of the whistler. Yes. Yeah, great bit of thrash there. It's barely making any sound. We're currently on the approach to Ferry Meadows now, so I'm going to start slowing up. Oh, watch out, lad. Driving over that crossing up ahead. Remember to stop, look, listen. Beware of trains. Bit of a toot of the horn there as we approach the station. Ferry Meadows station looks really quite smart as well. So the stations and locations overall are easily recognisable. They've done a really good job at modelling the stations and overall locations. To be honest, this is a route that a lot of us would like to see in TS Classic. I would personally. Going to overshoot that slightly, yeah, maybe ever so slightly, but at least we ain't spadded or anything. Mind you, at least the coaching stock is over the crossing and we've got it, you know, got the guards coach within the station limits, which is good. So, yeah, Ferry Meadows, most of you will probably know this for the Ferry Meadows Country Park as well, where it has the Ferry Meadows Miniature Railway, which is a nice spot to go. Okay, that is another trailer. Why is there so many trucks? Is it all just trucks? Oh no, there is some cars as well. Fair. Yeah.
Okay to proceed.
Okay to proceed. Rightio. Let's get going. Let's give the enthusiasts some epic class 40 thrash, shall we? My lords! Yeah. 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 Definitely brilliant sounds there. I mean, you can sense the sarcasm in my voice there, can't you? On position, so keep it in on for a bit, then take the power off. That's realistic driving there because you don't want to explode your amps. Horn for the foot crossing. I am noticing a considerable lack of whistle boards for some of these foot crossings. So our next station stop is Autumn Mere. Usually a passing point for trains, so we might see another passenger train on its way down to Wansford, if we're lucky. Yep, I think I can see one in the station over there. It's waiting for us because we're late. Like, incredibly late. I mean, look, we're supposed to be there at 10:58 and the time is now 11:07. Timetable's gone to pot. Looks like it's a steam service taken by 3408192 Squadron, which funnily enough is what we'll be driving in the second half of this video. I suppose at least you can actually see a fair amount of stuff out the cab windows in this. I mean, in reality, you wouldn't really see this much. You probably have a more limited visibility, but I suppose they want to give you enough visibility so you can play the game decently. It's one of the things that was important with MSTS is to have that drivability within the cab interior. Up. Oh, the steam service is departing Autumnmere. Ta-da! Yeah, Autumnmere, easily recognisable place. I believe this was a new build station because this isn't an original station, as you can probably see and tell by the platforms. I mean, that's a brick one, and that's a sort of a. I don't remember this one being brick though. I could be wrong, but. Yeah, we got the home signal there, which, I mean, for its time, that's probably not bad detail. We've got the signal box there. I mean, I don't know what's going on with these paths and roads. There's some ground texture issues there. Whether I've got any missing or it's probably just overlaying textures. But yeah, we've got the signal box there, all in its glory. Not too bad. I mean, to be fair, if you was to contact the original authors of this route, you'd probably get some of these custom assets put into Train Sim Classic, and and then just build the route into Train Sim Classic, because that would be epic. Obviously, it just takes to know the author of these old add-ons and contact them and see if they'll be willing to donate, and obviously as long as they're credited. Right. So it's now onwards to our last leg of the journey, which is to Peterborough Station. Well, Peterborough Nene Valley Station, because it's not the mainline station of Peterborough, obviously. See, I'm not hanging about, am I? I'm giving the enthusiasts some epic 40 thrash from the really bad quality sound. So we'll soon be hitting the 30 mile an hour limit along the next section of line. There usually would be a whistle board there, so I just horned for the crossing, because in real life there would be a whistle board or W board even. Okay, we can give it some now. Oh yeah, listen to that, guys. Proper high quality Whistler sound set. So, can you hear that noise in the background? That sort of banging sound, that sort of, yeah, that kind of banging sound of the rail joints, because obviously they have different rail joint sounds depending on what track you're on. Well, that sound of the banging is actually a bridge sound. So for some reason this section of line here has a constant bridge sound for rail clatter, which again is just another bug and fault with the route that's always been there since MSTS days. So I think some things are like unfair to criticise with MSTS because obviously it's really old tech from like the late 90s, early 2000s. But this add-on for its time was not good. And, you know, I have reasoning to slate some of this and, you know, say that it isn't good because, you know, you paid a lot of money for this add-on back in the day, you know, and to have it only work on certain PCs and, you know, to have issues with it crashing and for the quality of locomotives and rolling stock, the sounds and stuff, you wasn't really getting your money's worth. Probably the main selling point for this add-on and the main thing that was good about it was the actual detailing of the route, because the detailing of the route itself is not that bad, but the rest of it was all, yeah, pretty poor for its time. Look at them giant X's on the signals. Now, them crosses are not that big on signals in real life. Like, you know, I get that the signals are, like, you know, not in use, but you wouldn't have, like, crosses that big on them. Yes, this is Peterborough and Nene Valley. There's usually like a museum over here where these sidings are, where it's like got a few like other bits of rolling stock and stuff on display. Again, another easily recognisable location. Although I can't seem to see the bridge for the main line though. Usually there's like a big massive girder bridge for the main line. Oh, it's over there. There it is. Okay, so that is modelled. Fair. At least that's there. Okay, so here we are. Our final stop at Peterborough Nene Valley, which has got the Peterborough Nene Valley sign, which is very nicely done. So as I say, you know, the actual detailing of all of the stations and locations are actually done very, very well on this route. It is easily recognisable. So yeah, I'll give him credit for that. As I say, the route is nice, but just everything else is a bit, you know, naff. Okay guys, so that is the end of the Class 40 activity. I hope you enjoyed watching it. So we're now going to move on to the second part of the video, which is to take a look at the Peterborough Nene Valley to Wansford activity with 92 Squadron. So, let's go with the show. Okay guys, so here we are with activity number 4, which is the Peterborough to Wansford service with 34081 92 Squadron. Which, I mean, to be fair, the modelling on this loco is not half bad. It actually does look very nice. It is a really nice representation of a Bully Pacific. It is a bit CGI, a bit bright. As I say, there's not really any photo texturing going on. It's all basically just a custom CGI model. I have noticed that the dial on the smoke box is a bit inaccurate because that just shouldn't look like that. So that is one thing I will comment about it. But yeah, the model itself honestly isn't too bad. So yeah, so like the Class 40, I have altered the sound ever so slightly because for some reason when you install the Nene Valley add-on into OpenRails it makes all the whistles go funny, which never used to happen in an MSTS. I have noticed that this tends to happen on a few first class simulation add-ons, namely this one and the Pageants Field add-on by European Barner. So without further ado, we have got the right away from the guard, so we're going to put ourselves into forward and get underway for Autumn Mere. So the cab interior itself is not too bad. This is done very nicely, to be honest, because it's a nice photo texture cab. So yeah, it does look incredibly nice. So we'll give ourselves a toot on the whistle and get underway. Now, the thing that really does let this Bully Pacific down is the overall sounds of the engine, the chuff sounds. So as you can hear, it is just a default generic MSTS chuff sound which was placed on Flying Scotsman on the Settle Carlisle route, and it is not a 3-cylinder beat that, you know, the Bully Pacifics usually make. The only decent and realistic part about the sounds for this Bully Pacific is the whistle. As heard there, that is a Bully Pacific whistle. But apart from that, everything else about it is, well, inaccurate. Obviously, just like the 40, the sounds are just not very good. So, one of the things we didn't actually look at on the 40 was the passenger view of the coaching stock that comes with the add-on. So we're going to press 5 and have a little look round. So this here is our passenger view, which, yeah, once again, it's not the best. There's no photo texturing at all. It's all complete CGI, and yeah, it's very cartoony, very pixelated, and yeah, it's just not great. But you know, it's nice to have a passenger view nonetheless, because I know that some coaching stock within MSTS didn't actually have a passenger view, so it's good to have it anyway. So we are on the 30-mile-an-hour stretch now, so we can start to increase the power towards Autumn Mere. So yeah, as you can hear, it's not synced very well either, so it's just making very slow chuffs for 18 mile an hour. It's just not in sync at all. In fact, it kind of reminds me a little bit of a TTS sound decoder that you get for, you know, Hornby, like the cheap Hornby sound decoder locos, where the chuffs are out of sync from the speed that you're going. That is pretty much what this is. And you'll notice that I've got the regulator shut right now, but we've still got chuff sounds going, so it doesn't coast properly either. very, very basic. So yeah guys, obviously if you're enjoying my OpenRails series, let me know in the comments of the video. And let me know if there is any add-ons that you would like me to do a review on. Or if you have any add-ons for sale, MSTS ones, I would be interested in getting them, if, obviously, I don't own them myself. So if you do have any old MSTS add-ons that you want to get rid of, or, you know, want to sell, please do let me know, and you can contact me via the BLS email at trainsimsounds@gmail.com. We're going to start slowing up now because we are coming up to a 10-mile-an-hour limit into Autumn Station. So we should be heading into the left-hand side platform this time, which is the main platform. Yeah, there's no simulation physics on this whatsoever, really. It's very, very basic. I think even the 40 had better simulation physics than this. But, as I say, model not too bad, for its time especially. And with a little bit of tinkering and a bit of a sound upgrade, I reckon you could do something pretty good with this model. So apparently we are going to have to halt our train into the station because there is going to be another service heading up to Peterborough. I do admire the smoke effects and particle effects within OpenRails. So in MSTS, the particles were not really the best, but OpenRails has its own particle effects, which do update to the add-ons, and they are better. Although depending how the particles are scripted on certain models, they can look a bit odd, like on this 92 Squadron, for example. I'm going to try and slow. You don't want to spad. Yeah, that'll do. There we are. Autumn. Okay, so our passenger boarding has completed, and we're now just waiting for the up train towards Peterborough to arrive into the opposite platform, and we can depart for Wansford after that locomotive has arrived.
to proceed.
Okie dokie. So we've now got the right of way from the guard now that Mayflower has arrived in the station. So it's time to release our brake and get ourselves underway for Fairy Meadows. Off we go. Signal went down quick, didn't it? I noticed that the signals tend to like change as soon as the train starts passing them. They don't actually like go down after the train has passed the signal, which, you know, should happen. So it's technically not that realistic in that sense either. I'm actually overspeeding slightly, but we are late anyway, so I have an excuse. You'll also notice that the wheels on the Mayflower as it approached were kind of like slipping. They weren't like moving properly, they were like doing this glitch where they were like sliding across the rails. I noticed that this is another thing that sometimes happens with certain add-ons within OpenRails. I mean, again, this never used to happen in MSTS, but you got to remember that some of these old add-ons are incredibly old, and some of them are not 100% compatible with the new game. But the main thing is that, you know, we can get MSTS working on modern day machines, you know, and that is the purpose of OpenRails. That is why it has been made, so that we can have that nostalgia trip and go back to some of these old childhood memories with these old add-ons. Yeah, for its time, photo texturing was the way to go in MSTS. We used to think it used to be the best thing ever. You know, photo texturing was, for its time, the best thing that anyone could ever have. Here we are, approaching Fairy Meadows once again. And there we are. Fairy Meadows, Fairy Meadows. Let's take a little look around the station building. I mean, this is a lovely station building in real life, and it's great to see it's actually captured pretty well in the game. Lots of interesting sound effects, as I say, you know. Bit loud though, but it gives it atmosphere. Not much scenery going on here though. I know there's definitely a lot more here, usually in real life.
Okay to proceed.
And as the guy with the really, like, quiet voice says in okay to proceed, so off we go. So I have to wallop the regulator almost basically straight up to full to get this thing to move. I'd say there's no simulation in this whatsoever. There is better steam engines out there for the game. A bit of a gradient here. It's interesting. So you get, well, if you're driving in this direction with the diesel loco, you get some hellfire thrash going on. Well, depending on what diesel loco you drive, because you wouldn't want to drive the Class 40 up here, would you? There is better 40s for MSTS out there. I do know this because I've seen, like, you know, videos of 40s from other DLCs which have much better sounds. We are going to come up to that 10-mile-an-hour speed restriction over the bridge. I'm going to make sure that I stick to that this time. But you will notice that I am now incredibly late to Wansford. I have noticed that you may as well not be looking at this timetable because, I mean, the timetable is utterly useless because we were stopped at Alton Mere for a really long time and it actually makes you really late. So regardless, this timetable is utterly useless for this scenario, you know? Quack, 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 quack. Right, let's start slowing up to that 10-mile-an-hour speed now. Yeah, because it's this river bridge that it's a weak structure, so it has to have a certain speed restriction over it. And that's the reason for it. I mean, the modelling itself is pretty spot on to real life. I mean, the detail of it is very bland, very basic, but, you know. That is quite a nice view of the steam engine going over it. There is actually a better 34081 model out there for MSTS, and funnily enough I've actually got it, and that is the Southern region, which again was done by, well, I believe First Class Simulations host it, but the actual developers were by Blue Arrow Simulations. I will feature the Southern region add-on within my OpenRails series at some point in the future. Right, so we've now reached the 30 limit, so we can wang it open to full again because, you know, the simulation aspect of this loco is non-existent. Do have a nice firebox texture though. You can hear the fireman shoveling the coal, putting the water into the boiler. You can choose in this game whether you are manually firing the locomotives or auxiliary firemen, and I believe you can change this by Control F. Basically, that enables you to select between auto and manual firing, which is a really nice feature for OpenRails, I must say. Because back in MSTS days, in MSTS you usually have to change that in the menu, like in the settings. But obviously you can change it in-game in OpenRails, which is very cool. So, if anyone is interested in giving OpenRails a go, I have linked it in the description of the video so you can go and take a look. It is a free-to-play game. Obviously it does depend on what MSTS add-ons you have, whether, you know, you can play it in a sense or not, but there is demo models, so you get demos as well. So there is a couple of OpenRails routes on that website which can get you started with the game. But obviously the main thing with the game is to bring back MSTS add-ons, so you have to kind of go and buy the MSTS add-ons yourself to be able to play certain ones, obviously. There is still a couple on sale. I know Nene Valley is still quite a regular to be seen on sale. Got Peterborough as well, which is a good route. I recommend going and grab that, as well as the Peak line and various other add-ons that you can play in OpenRails. Nice church in the distance over there with a load of houses. As I say, the scenery on this route is actually really, really good. I mean, for its time, this was probably like one of the best routes that anyone has seen in train sim history. But obviously nowadays it's incredibly dated. And also the ground texturing is not overly that bad. I mean, there is routes out there which have really, really bad ground textures. This one isn't too bad. So, the route itself isn't too bad, it really isn't. But the rolling stock and locomotives are shite. Models, average, some of them better than others, but sounds are awful. I mean, this sounds nothing like a Bullet Pacific. Completely the wrong sound. Same with the 40, it sounded nothing like a Class 40 engine. Like a proper, you know, whistling, proper thrash, you know? I say this is something like I wouldn't play this. Like I wouldn't like this is not something that I'd get enjoyment out of because the sounds of the engine are just terrible and simulation just isn't good. There is much better locomotives out there for the game. But with a bit of tinkering, a bit of sound editing, stuff like that, perhaps I could do something about this and make it a more fun and enjoyable experience to drive, you know, on the Nene Valley with the home fleet locos. I'll have a look into it, see what I can do. If anyone would be interested in me making some sort of upgrade to the old Nene Valley locos, let me know in the comments. Or if you'd like to see BLS doing some content for OpenRails, you know, making some modifications and stuff that are releasable to the public, let me know. So we're currently on the approach to Wansford now, it should be just round this corner. I have noticed though that the cycle path, because usually there's like a cycle path alongside the line up here. It's non-existent in this add-on, so that hasn't been added, which is a bit of a shame. Is it a cycle path or a footpath? It's one of the two. Either way, the footpath isn't here when it should be. So we're going to start slowing up now because we are on the approach to Wansford station. We do have a green into the left-hand platform. Bloody hell, the crossing keeper hasn't done the crossing yet. Okay, now the... interesting. But yeah, anyway, ignoring the fact that the crossing gates crashed through a truck, let's have a look at this iconic view. Yeah, look at that. Now that is the iconic shot of the Nene Valley Railway. The train heading over the River Nene as it were, and going into Wansford station. Now that is a shot and a half. You know, that is done extremely well to be honest. And I'd like to see that in TS Classic. I would love to see the Nene Valley Railway in there, personally. It's quite local to me as well. It's only an hour's drive, hour and a half drive. Easy enough for me to get to. So it's quite local to me, really. Nothing in the yard. Not really. We've got some coaches over there, though. And there we have it. We have arrived in Wansford. And there we go, so we'll leave the video there. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video of OpenRails. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see more. And yeah, let me know what you think and what your thoughts were of the Nene Valley Railway for MSTS. Was it good? Was it bad? Did you enjoy it? Let me know in the comments. So thank you for watching, guys. It's been Samuel Beerman of BLS. I'll see you all soon. Goodbye for now.